Hello, I'm Jannet Anne Nordemann, founder of Canadians for Compassion and co-developer of the Compassion app, available right now on your iPhone, on your iPad, and also possible on your computer, which I'll show you in a minute how it all works. I worked to develop this Compassion app to expand the conversation about what makes compassion work in our communities and for us personally, and to share our stories. We're actually building a more compassionate nation, one conversation at a time, one act of compassion at a time, and it's available soon in Android as well as Blackberry formats and also around the world. Let me show you how it works. Finding the Compassion app on your iTunes store is pretty easy. Just go to the search engine and type in compassion, or some people have success by typing in Canadians. It's one of the first ones that come up. What you're looking for is the figure 8 on its side, the infinity symbol or the Mobius curve, with the map of Canada in the background. It is the logo for CanadiansForCompassion.org, and it's also the logo for the Charter for Compassion, one of the reasons why I started and founded Canadians for Compassion and developed the Compassion app. I'm now going to zoom in on the actual application itself, doing it on my iPad so it's easier for you to see all the steps and capabilities that this application has. So when you get to this site, you'll get to this point where you've clicked on the icon after you're downloading it. You have two options. If you haven't signed on before, here's a chance for you to sign up. And just basic information is being requested. Your name, your last name, an email address, and you have the opportunity to set a password so that you can create your own profile on the website, which actually keeps track of all the various acts of compassion that you have done. And it also provides an opportunity for information to be shared with you about other people who are doing acts of compassion or experiencing compassion in their own lives across the country and around the world. Now, I've already signed up, so I'm not going to take this option. I'm actually just going to log in, because once you become a member, the login information is already available to you. Now, when you log in, you will see that there's 4 different options for you at the bottom of the app. This one on the far right-hand side just tells you about the actual app itself, some basic instructions about how to submit an act of compassion and about the app itself. It also gives a little information about the organization, Canadians for Compassion. And if you want to learn more about the Charter for Compassion, in fact, here it is for you already. The full Act of Compassion, as it was launched in 2009 and is now available and being affirmed and adopted by people all the way around the world. And through this application, you could actually affirm the charter here. You can see I've already affirmed it, but if I hadn't, there'd be a box that would give me the option of actually clicking on it to mark that I affirm. And that information would add to the tally of Canadians affirming the Charter of Compassion. Now, one of the main reasons why we developed the Compassion app was to actually create a space, a virtual space, where people could share their stories and their acts of compassion. It's not just about talking about what you've done or what I've done. It's actually about sharing the stories of experiencing compassion in whatever way you want, and from that, perhaps setting a dialogue about this. The way the Compassion Act is if you want to submit an act of compassion, it works with the GPS technology in your smart device and actually allows you to set the location. Now, in this case, the location has been set here. But if I wanted to set the location to somewhere else in the world, because that's where I experienced the act, this is actually a Google map. And you can scroll it and move it wherever you want in the world to determine what location it's going to be. For this demonstration, I've chosen where we're actually filming as the site of the location. And then in submitting the act, if you have the capability of taking a photograph with your iPhone, you could actually either take a photograph or add a photograph to amplify or to enhance your act of compassion. Once you set your location, you can then describe what the act of compassion is. So for me, something wonderful happened where a young man helped me with my groceries, getting them from the car on a really snowy day to getting them into the house. I really appreciated that. So here what I would do is I just would say something to the effect was appreciated the assistance to my car on a snowy day. So here we go. Obviously, if I had more time, we would elaborate on it. I could do more. Some people are sharing full stories about what it means. The space is basically limitless for you to share your act of compassion, what it meant to you, how you felt about it. And once you're done, then you can submit your act. What happens is that this pin shows up right here as to the location of this act of compassion. It calls up identification and what I did, and then it also talks about the story. Appreciated the assistance with groceries to my car on a snowy day. If I had a photograph, that photograph would be showing there. It shows the time and when it happened. So that shows you what's happening with the Compassion Act itself. If we go back to the Compassion map and actually scroll out, we would see that now our act of compassions are being shared with other people in this particular area. And if I actually went to another person and looked at their act of compassion, there would be a story about their act of compassion. So the whole idea in the palm of your hand is to actually learn about other acts of compassion, your own as well as those of others. The other thing that would happen with this device is if there was an event happening in the vicinity of my Compassion app, there'd be a different color pin. There'd be a blue pin. And when I scrolled over that pin, up will come information about an upcoming event, whether it's a seminar on compassion or an actual event in compassion or anything that is of interest to anybody who's trying to promote compassion in our country. The other thing that will be available to this with this device is the opportunity for corporate sponsorship. So for those corporations that want to support compassion in our country, they could actually support and contribute and donate to this website. They would get a pin of their own. And just as this pin would be attributed to me for a corporate sponsor, it would be the name of the corporate sponsor. And when we scrolled here, it would make available information about the corporate sponsor as well as the location of the nearest store. So the geolocation capabilities of this app make it very, very flexible for when people wanting to share their stories, learn about other people doing compassionate work, and also identify corporations and companies and retailers that support compassion in our neighborhoods, in our country, so that we can also show our appreciation by shopping with them. So here's the Compassion app. Now let me show how all of this streams onto our website, because we want this dialogue not just to remain within the palm of our hand, but to be able to share it with the rest of the world. The website at www.canadians4compassion.org is the cornerstone of the organization I founded in 2010 to create a central place for discussion, to share stories about what compassion means to you, as well as create a hub for Canadians to find other people who are very involved and committed to compassion, as well as affirm the Charter for Compassion, a very important document that is influencing major decision makers, businesses, politicians, and people around the world. So in Canada, Canadians4compassion.org is the website to go to learn more about what's happening in Canada in this movement to make Canada a more compassionate nation. So what does that have to do with a Compassion app? So we have already committed and submitted our act of compassion, and when we scroll down to the website now, the first thing that comes up on the home page is actually the map of Canada, a Google map of Canada that allows you to zoom in and zoom out, and all the various pins from different people who have provided acts of compassion. You might even notice that in Seattle, someone has already recorded an act of compassion there. So this is a device that can go around the world. So a Canadian traveling anywhere can share acts of compassion or stories of compassion as they experience them, and it will actually show up on this map of Canada. Down here, of course, are the acts of compassion, and if we scroll down a little bit farther on the web page, you can see here latest acts of compassion, and here is the act of compassion we just submitted. Appreciated the assistance with groceries to my car on a snowy day. If I had taken a photograph, there would be a picture there, but as there's not, there's still a hyperlink that will take you right to my actual profile, and there it is, and the story and the location of where it was that day. Here we are back to the main map of Canada. You may notice here this blue pin, and I was talking about when there's an event, you're going to launch an event, you can actually have a blue pin will show up on your iPad. It also shows up on the map of Canada, and if you click on that, up comes information about the compassion activity of a group in Calgary trying to get a Compassionate City campaign going in that city. And their first event of the year is Make Compassion Your New Year's Resolution. So any group that wants to promote their activities or events, whatever it may be that promotes compassion, we will provide it on the website free of charge, and that way people from around the country, and certainly those people in Calgary, can learn about what's happening in their neighborhood to improve compassion. The same is also possible for businesses and corporate sponsors. A corporate sponsor will also have their own pin, and they will be able to have a pin in each market. It's all about engaging people in a discussion of compassion and allowing not just individuals, but organizations, businesses to share their stories of compassion, contribute and participate in this movement, not just in Canada, but around the world. So if anyone is hearing this video and would be interested in talking about getting the Compassion app working in their country, or wanting to know more about how they can become a corporate sponsor or anything like that, please contact me at chartercanadians4compassion@gmail.com. That is Canadians4compassion@gmail.com. Thanks very much, and hope to see your act of compassion shared with us on our website soon. Bye-bye for now.